Jim Farley has just come out and said what we all already know. China is a greater threat to Ford than General Motors and Toyota. And when I say China, I don't mean the Chinese government coming and blowing up Ford with a nuclear bomb. I'm talking about the automotive industry. I'm talking about car companies like BYD. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. In 2020, Ford sold 4.2 million cars worldwide. Of those, 600,000, in fact 650,000 were sold in China. That was an increase of 6% in Ford's sales in the country, which is a good thing. However, Ford sales actually declined by 20% worldwide. So what was helping Ford from having even worse global sales in 2020 was China. Well, now things are changing. Almost all companies, including Ford, General Motors, Toyota, Volkswagen, Nissan in particular, Mazda in particular, Mitsubishi, and Honda are being slaughtered in China. Why? Because automakers make a lot of money there. That's the truth. It's the biggest car market in the world. 26, 27, 28 million cars are sold there every year. That's 1/3 of all cars sold all over the entire planet. And now that gravy train is coming to an end for these car manufacturers. You can see why Ford are more concerned about China than they are about Toyota or General Motors. In particular about Toyota, who are not prepared for EV sales at all. In fact, Jim Farley has so little confidence in the electric vehicle sales capacity of General Motors and Toyota that he has completely dismissed them in his list of EV rivals. He instead is worried about Geely, BYD, Great Wall, SAIC, and I think Tesla by extension. That's according to Blue Oval's statement at the Morgan Stanley Sustainable Finance Summit last week. The Chinese are going to be the powerhouse, said Farley. Indeed. Chinese manufacturers are forging ahead with EV technology, with BYD already vying to sell more EVs globally this year than leaders Tesla. In fact, BYD is on track to sell 3.6 million cars this year. Guess what? Only a few years ago, they sold 400,000. In the space of a few years, they've gone from 400,000 to 3.6 million, which is likely what they will actually achieve this year. Where will they be in 2030? Well, yeah, I've been saying for a long time now, they'll be either first or second globally. And I think Jim Farley is very well aware of that, of what's happening. Keep in mind as well, Tesla is part of the Chinese establishment now. I mean, China just became the biggest exporter of vehicles, period, worldwide. And I'm not talking about just EVs here, I'm talking about vehicles, period. It overtook Japan in the first quarter of this year. A lot of people don't realize, but this is a seismic change. China wasn't even in the top 3 only a couple of years ago. It's now overtaken Germany and it's overtaken Japan. And that's got to be kind of scary if you're those countries, because Germany and Japan, well, the lifeblood of their economies is the automotive industry. Now, if you combine what's going on right now with the fact that China owns state-of-the-art battery production, but more importantly, state-of-the-art battery production, massive production lines producing massive amounts of the world's cheapest batteries, lithium iron phosphate batteries, which also coincidentally last longer than other battery technology. And you can see why this threat is very, very concerning. In fact, Republicans are very, very angry about this. They're trying to get the government, basically trying to get Joe Biden to overturn Jim Farley's decision to use CATL's technology. Basically, Ford is licensing CATL, who are the biggest battery company in the world and a Chinese company, licensing their technology to build a factory in the US. It's sort of like Belt and Road in a way, isn't it? Now, the thing is, what's more scary about this is that, yeah, these automakers outside of China, like the legacy ones I just talked about, they're going to lose China. I think that's inevitable, right? However, now that the Chinese automakers are targeting Europe, well, when I say targeting, I mean they're just putting a laser beam on Europe and saying, bang, that's where we're going. Then what does that mean for those automakers in Europe? If they were to lose China, and if they were to lose Europe, what do they have left? Considering that makes up 60% of the global automotive market, that would cause some pretty big issues. Chinese car makers exported over 2 million vehicles in 2022. Much of that thanks to Tesla, that's a fourfold increase from 2020, or a 400% rise. And given the strength of exports through the first quarter of 2023, China's exports will top 3 million this year. What will it be next year? 5, 6, 7 million? How long will it take before China also manufactures most of the cars in the world, as it does many other things, like your phones? So where Farley thinks Chinese automakers may have Ford over a barrel concerns costs and scale. How do you beat them on cost if their scale is 5 times yours and they own the technology, which Ford is licensing? Farley said, while the Ford CEO believes his company can continue to compete with its distinctive branding, which it does have with cars like the Ranger and the F-150, it is forced to try and cut costs as Chinese sales have skid since 2016. Now, I've been saying for a while now, I believe Ford will eventually just become a pickup truck company, and that's what it should focus on. That's where its money is. It's where it makes its money. Pickup trucks. Rangers and F-150s. However, in the US, like I said, Ford has partnered with Chinese battery company CATL to build a new mega battery plant in Michigan, while the US Treasury is yet to rule on whether the Blue Oval's other Chinese partnership, Ford SAIC, violates the regulations against foreign entities of concern attached to the $7,500 EV tax credit. It likely will rule against Ford in this case. We have a decision to make here in the US. If battery localizing their technology in the US gets caught up in politics, you know the customer is really going to get screwed, said Farley. That's obviously Farley's way of saying, hey, this is all about the customer. It's got nothing to do with Ford here. We're just fighting for the little man. We're fighting for the people here. Obviously, Farley is also fighting for the life of Ford, who made a loss last year and is actually the car company in the world that pays more on warranty claims than any other company in history. They win that title almost every year. Farley isn't alone in his concern over China and in his concern over warranty issues as well. Elon Musk has earlier conceded that Chinese automakers have been working hard and smart. They stay up late into the early hours of the morning. They're disciplined, and they don't go home before everything is done. Elon Musk even said he believes that an automaker from China will be second to Tesla in the EV race, and he's assuming that Tesla can actually keep the lead on BYD, which is a challenge in enough of itself. What do you think on that? Do you think BYD will overtake Tesla? They definitely could. It's possible. Of course, overtaking them in profits is an entirely different issue, so let's not get into that. Earlier this week, though, Tesla's Shanghai factory began exporting Tesla Model 3s and Model Ys to North America, with the first made-in-China models landing in Canada. Now, that was before they shut down the Model 3 production line in order to retool it to build a new, refreshed, and significantly improved Model 3, one which is said will cost Tesla significantly less to build than the current model. Keep in mind, a large percentage of Tesla's profits come from China. In fact, they made nearly $3 billion last year from China alone. Now, whilst Tesla's sales and its dominance, or at least its growth in China, continues, Ford's, General Motors, and Toyota's continues to fall and recede, in fact, at an alarming rate. You can see why Jim Farley is concerned about the rise of China. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching.